I thank the gentleman. Now we're going to the third of our popular freshmen. And this is my vice chair, Mike Collins from Georgia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I am a freshman. I've only been there, I guess, a little over 200 days. But y'all, when I ran on several different things: the debt, China, border security, and something I called oversight. And that's what I kind of want to focus on, because we only control the House of Representatives. And we're passing a lot of good bills, but they're falling into a black hole over there in the Senate because they won't take it up. But oversight is one area that we can really get our message out and exactly put a face on what's going on out there. I'm a small businessman. In other words, I look at things as what's the problem and what's the solution. So as we go through this, I hope you'll join in and try to figure out what the problem is and just what's the solution. I'm also in the trucking industry. Second generation, been at it over 30 years. My wife and I started our own business. Now, I used to, when on the trail, I'd say I'm in the most regulated business areas in the world. But as I've been out there doing these hearings, I swear, y'all, I think we're all in the most regulated industry in the world. There's not one that I haven't seen that hasn't been affected. I mean, you think, I started out, and you know what? I want to recognize something, Mr. Chairman. We had over a week's notice, y'all, for this hearing. A week's notice. Now, I don't know if y'all noticed it or not. There's not a single Democrat sitting up here. Not a single one of them that will come out here and see you face to face to understand one-on-one what you're feeling and what you're going through. And in the hearings that I've been to, they haven't been there either. And I think that's very telling. But I've been up to Minnesota, started out permitting problems out there. World's largest deposit of critical minerals. Been trying to get permitting for 20 years. East Coast, dealing over there with rulemakings that's going to kill the entire recreation fishing over there, up and down the entire eastern seaboard. Been out on the western coast where they want to do away with hydroelectric dams out there to promote this Green New Deal that they've got. You know, as a matter of fact, $1.7 trillion infrastructure bill where they only put $600 billion to fix your roads and bridges, and they really ain't doing that. The rest of it went to this crap so that they could push EVs on you, and they're out there putting up chargers that aren't even going to work by the time they get them put up because the chargers are going to change. I'm going to use up all my time on a rant, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But here we are out here in your state, which not only is dealing with border issues, but dealing with mining issues as well. And just like Mr. Crane, I don't know a lot about mining, but I guarantee you one thing: it's worth it to be out here with you to see your concern. I'm second generation trucking, and I guarantee you there's second, third generation folks sitting out here that are worried about their family, worried about their next generation and taking over their business. So, Mr. Harrell, I want to jump into modernizing the permitting system right quick. Does America have any chance to become energy and resource independent from China and Russia?
Not without permitting reform. We've got to narrow the amount of time it takes to permit these things from 7 to 10 years to more like 2 years, like our allies Canada and Australia do.
Yes, sir. Well, can you give us some specific reforms on what
Yeah.
Congress can do?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there are three key components that need to be moving forward. One, we need some strict deadlines to move through the process, really narrowing the scope of the issues that are considered. We need to streamline litigation so our judicial system stops being used as a tool to obstruct American economic development. And ultimately, we need better coordination between federal and state entities so that those things sync together, and we can ultimately drive projects forward and bring some of those decisions down to the local level where folks know things best.
Thank you. You know, and that leads into another total different subject. But you know, judicial reform, and a lot of it, I think, is in the way of tort reform. You know, you've got all these environmentalists out there that are sue. And they'll drop a suit on you as soon as one kind of gets settled or dropped, just to keep the permitting process going. And I know I harp on that every day about how we have to have better tort reform in this country. And the other thing is just the fact that, when I was in Minnesota, there was a mine next door to that mine that they were trying to permit for 20 years. They've been mining that for years because it was on state land. Had no problem with the state permitting. Next door, federal, couldn't get it done. So, that, Mr. Chairman, I better yield back.
I thank the gentleman. I'll challenge myself with questions.